So here's one I just finished. I shared it in previous video and it wasn't even sort of finished. And the other day I just decided to cut out and paste a ton of my original art pieces onto this canvas. That wasn't my intention. This wasn't what I wanted to do. I was really resisting doing that for a week. And I'm sharing a time lapse in the next video, in which I'll talk about that. It was hard. I know this seems like a really cool piece, and but it was tough because I had a certain desire, a certain intention when I started it, and it wasn't going to be that way. And I wasn't going to, because of the amount of paint that I put on the canvas to start with, I ended up putting too much paint on, and then I couldn't do anything more than cutting out things. And actually doing cutouts and stuff was really fun for me. And it turned out really interestingly, and I love this. I love these little tassels. And I love all these little 3D elements to it. And it was a very interesting process for me. It was definitely a lot of new stuff came about from it, and I learned a lot. It's definitely different from anything I've done before. And I probably will use aspects of this technique in future pieces I make, but I miss the act of actually painting things. My initial desire was to paint all of these images onto the canvas, but I realized that would have taken a month or longer, would have taken forever, and then the images wouldn't show up. They wouldn't really show up on the canvas very well. So I was just like, okay, I have all of these, 100 pieces that I've done, and why not just make copies of a couple of them? And this is just copies of maybe 3 or 4 pieces that I've done, and make a little kind of original collage. So I do like how it turned out, and I find it interesting with painting and this whole process that it never turns out the way you think it's going to. But I never give up, I won't give up on it, and I'm proud of that aspect of my creative process, is that I don't give up until until I've figured it out, if that makes sense. And because I spent probably a whole week working on this, where I was really frustrated with it, and even when I was painting, actually painting certain aspects of which you can't really see, little things here and there, I was hating it and wanting to stop. I wanted to just tear it up and throw it away and start another one. But I never can seem to do that. I always have to keep going, and that's because throughout my whole drawing life of drawing, that's how it's always been, is that even though I've been doing pieces like a fifth of this size for decades, I'd get into the process, I'd get frustrated, I'd be feel doubtful of myself, and then I'd have a breakthrough and I'd figure it out. And so I know that now about the creative process with drawing and painting, is that I just have to trust the process and go with it. But I still doubt myself, even to this day. Actually, the other day, if anybody knows who Julian Bleach is, he's a really amazing British actor. I think he's in his mid-50s now, but he, I think I somehow got his contact information. I sent an email during the pandemic, in 2020, to his agent, just trying to share our music with him, and sharing that we were aiming to try and set up performances of our new opera in the UK with our friend James at the time, James Swanton. And he actually wrote back. The agent forwarded the email to him amazingly, and he saw it and read it and actually listened to the music that I'd sent him, because we were recording a bunch of stuff in our room at the time. And he was really supportive and saying how wonderful it is, and if it does happen, that he'll try to come, because he saying that he lived near where we were planning on going to do it. And I was amazed, because I wasn't expecting him to respond. And I just recently sent him another email, like a couple weeks ago, just giving him like a life update, saying that we were not able to do the opera that we had planned to do with James, because we had a falling out with him in the last couple of years, and we didn't manage to get to the UK to do it. But here's my art, and I'm painting on canvas now, and he wrote back just a few days ago, which is really amazing, because he's probably my favorite working British actor right now. That's relatively, he's not as known as somebody like Anthony Hopkins or Ray Fiennes or people like that. And he was really supportive of my art. He was really supportive, and he said, that he could tell that I've been painting for a long time, that it was clear that with the quality of my work, that he could tell that I've been doing it for a long time. And that was really nice. That felt really good to hear from somebody who I admire as an artist. And then I got the interesting idea to maybe pitch to him that we do the opera with him in the UK one of these days. And I think I will try that, to pitch that to him. Because he's an amazing actor, similar to James, just older. That would be a dream come true if we got to do that with him. And I sent my art to a couple other of my teachers and old teachers from college and high school, showing them my work, and I try to share my work with relatives and family and close friends as much as I can, showing my process and everything, and sharing it online as much as I can. And the continuation of the story with my aunt, she, when she reneged on her desire to buy my work, she then came back with an offer to possibly help me with maybe trying to find an agent, trying to find a gallery for me that could help me sell my work, or finding some art collectors who may actually want to buy my work for the price that I want. So that was really amazing. And I was I'm quite firm about my price. I'm not really willing to be flexible about it, because I know that it's worth that much. I know it's worth more. I have this thing about all throughout history, some of the greatest artists who remained anonymous in their lives and made so many paintings or so much art or music or whatever, like I've said in the past, they tended to die in obscurity, and then their work would be bought and sold for millions. And so other people besides them were benefiting from the work that they had done, and the artists themselves did not. And this is the way it is in the art world and the music world, notoriously. That some of the greatest artists that ever lived never sold a painting and never had any success with their work. And that really bothers me. So it's something that I'm very aware of as an artist, and have experienced as an artist and as a musician, that being undervalued for what I do. With music, for the last 15 years, never really getting paid. I mean, only a handful of times really getting paid what we really kind of deserve for what we do. Usually it would be not being paid at all, or being paid minimal amounts of money. People not valuing or undervaluing what we do. And I was feeling kind of hurt by feeling like my aunt was undervaluing my work. But it turns out that we'll see what happens, but I'm not sure what will actually happen, because you never know. But she has offered to help, and she seemed understanding of my feelings about it, because I'm really passionate about this, that I really, as much as I can help it, I want to try not to be the artist who, doesn't benefit from their own work. I would really like to financially benefit from my own work. I'm not going to sell it for nothing. So I'm sticking with my prices, and I'm not gonna, just because I'm unknown, sell my pieces for very little. And I know in a way you kind of have to do that initially. You kind of have to make a lot of work and sell it for very little before people are going to be interested in it, where you start building a market for the work that you make. But for me, the way I feel is that if I'm not going to sell my work at the price I want now, then I'm just going to keep it and have a nice little gallery in my house. And there are a couple of people, like I've said, who would really like my work but can't afford it. And a couple of people on the channel have said that they wish they could buy my art and could afford it. And I would like to make prints, but prints are complicated because they require a lot of stuff that I need to, getting the right color values, making it look as close to the original piece, and especially with something like this. How do you make a print of this? How do you make a print of that? Like, how do you make a print of something that's 3D, that is three-dimensional? I have no idea. I don't think it's possible. And I also find it interesting that there are times in which, depending on my mood, depending on my state of mind, I will sometimes make pieces that are extremely colorful, like this one, with lots of bright neon colors. And then other times I'll make pieces with a lot of black in them, and a lot of dark, maybe dark symbolism and stuff, with bloody mouths and shit. And I've done that all throughout my art career, you could say. Like, I remember when we were in my mother's house a few times in Nashville. She was very mentally unwell for many years before she died. And when I was there, previous to us being there when we were in Europe, and after that, I was making all these bright, colorful things. But for the entire month that we were at my mother's house, it's all these incredibly dark, bloody, headless creatures wandering around, blood-soaked rivers and fiery cities and all this shit. And I only realized later, when I was with my friend Will Griffin, who was my mentor when I was a kid in Nashville. I got to sing with him on the classical radio station when I was 17, and did a Mozart concert with him when I was young, which was amazing. And he said, your work is a reflection of of the energy of the places you were in and how you were feeling. And I didn't even realize that that's what I was actually, the kind of energy that was in my mother's house was all this dark stuff. And my mother came down one night when she'd gotten drunk at a Christmas party, and I had told her, you can't drink when we're at the house. And she did, and then she lied about it, and this really ugly night. And I said, I'm not going to talk to you because you're drunk. And I went downstairs and closed the door, and she followed me and said, what do you do? I don't like this art. It's so disturbing. There's something wrong with you. I don't like your hair. What's wrong with you? Am I a bad mother? And just berating me for like an hour. I should have just walked away. I'm not sure why I did. But she was really disturbed by all this dark artwork that I'd been making. My mom was very upset by anything like about bodily functions, anything about death or despair or anything that was not positive. She was not into that. And my dad's the same. And with my dad, interestingly, my dad has always been, and my sister actually too, My dad has always been really supportive of my art process and has been saying to me for years that he thinks I can make a lot of money off my work. And, but he doesn't really know what to do. He doesn't know how to help me. The other day I actually asked him if he would be a patron and help me supply myself with paints and canvases, because it does cost money to get canvases and buy paint. And I can sometimes get weird about it when I'm going out and buying supplies to make paintings and I'm not selling them. I'll feel like I'm wasting my time, or I'm wasting money, or I'm being irresponsible somehow. But I'm absolutely not. This is a great investment for me, for my work. And I am seeing how people are being really supportive on the channel. I'm noticing that on both our YouTube channel and Instagram. It's not millions of people, of course, but it's the few people who pay attention are really being really supportive and kind. And in the last video I made, people were really understanding when I was saying how sad I was and frustrated that I wasn't going to sell my piece. Because like I've said, there's parts of me that just wants to give it to people who I know really appreciate it, and those are people who can't afford the price that I want to sell them at, which means I need to make prints for them. Even my sister wants that one with all the mouths and hands floating around, but she can't afford it. I wish I could just give it to her. And our friend Clover really likes the one with the hexagonal head floating in the middle. So I have a couple people, like I could give all my pieces away, and then Zubin and Shahastra, our friends who live nearby, they love all my work, and I could just give it all to them. Eventually I may have to, if we ever choose to travel again. I may have to just give it to them and have them, and they've said that they would hold on to them for me, which is really nice. And then today I was reading comments. Someone on the channel mentioned a magazine for outsider artists called, what is it called? It's a really cool magazine for outsider artists, and recommended that I look it up, and that I would be perfect for a story with them. And of course I looked them up, and they say they're not even accepting submissions right now, which means they're probably oversaturated with interest, with people who are trying to get their work seen. That makes sense to me. So, and also that these pieces are very fragile. And I accidentally broke open tore one of my canvases. A couple of them. One I tore, and I had to sew it back together and all this. It really pissed me off. And they also can stretch easily, and they're very fragile things. They're not very stable, which again makes me wonder how anything is ever saved. All of these canvases and pieces from history. How did the Hieronymus Bosch piece get saved for 400 years and kept in a way that's still really beautiful and archival? Because a couple of people have given me recommendations for keeping these inks, these printer inks, archival. I need to paint something over them or something to keep them from fading. The life of an unknown artist. I would really like for this work to be seen. That's why I'm making these videos. That's why I'm doing this stuff, making these things, is because I can't help but do it. I have to do it. I can't stop. I can't give up on it. But sometimes I feel like I'm just inches away from being seen and actually having the work that I and Thoth do be seen. That it's just one little thing happening could just cause everything to happen. And because this person who mentioned this outsider art magazine said that the story that we have to share of our years and years of traveling and performing, and my unique art style is as good as any story that they've told in this magazine. And of course it is. it's not like what we do, what Thoth does on his own, and I do on my own, and we do together isn't just the most incredible thing. It's just people don't know that it exists. So, I mean, that's the nature of being an outsider artist. But I was also thinking about the concept of being an outsider artist and what that actually means. And for me, being an outsider artist means being an artist, right? Right? Because being an outsider artist means that you are just making art and you don't have the qualifications and the prestige and the diplomas and the art gallery shows and the this and the that and the museum creds and the money that you've made from you just make art. Unfortunately, though, a lot of outsider artists aren't necessarily very good. Usually, a lot of the times they're people who are mentally ill and make art like they can't speak or hear or talk, and they make art. Or there's just somebody who hides in a room somewhere, and like I do, and just makes art endlessly. And it's not necessarily great art. It's just that nobody knows who they are. One example of somebody who isn't this is, like I've mentioned, this film In the Realms of the Unreal. It's about this amazing guy who is just this old little man who sat in a room all day for his entire life and made a 15,000-page book of an original fantasy story and made original art. And he was never taught, and nobody knew that he did this until he was dead. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen to me. I would really, really, really like to be able to do this and share this in a gallery. I would love to do a gallery show, for example. I would love to do and then do performances in the gallery. And wouldn't that be incredible? Or museums. You know, Thoth and I have been to a couple museums over the last 15 years, and we always want to sing, you know, because the acoustics in museums and art galleries are amazing for some reason. And Thoth says it's because the art likes the acoustics, which I think is true. But imagine if Thoth and I, if he's still alive, if this ever happens, or just me, you know, that my art is being shown in a gallery or in a museum, that the whole gallery is like the whole art gallery, the whole museum is full of these paintings and you know, costumes and all these things I've made, and then I'm going through the museum singing to people, like we do, like I've learned how to do. It would just be it would be the most unique form of art of an art showing that anyone's ever done, because art gallery showings are notoriously kind of boring. You know, the art's just hung up on the walls and people just walk around and look at it. And we've sung at a few art galleries in our time in the last several years, but we've sung with other people's art. And actually, when we were in San Jose many years ago singing we would go to an art gallery that our friends had and sing. And the gallery was very simple, very humble, of course. But I know they would do a showing for me one of these days. But we met an amazing artist who was from San Francisco, and he actually ended up shipping us one of his paintings that's somewhere in an attic somewhere in San Francisco, I don't know. He's so inspiring. He loved our work, and we sang to his paintings, and there's several videos on the channel if you go searching that you can see us singing in galleries, and it's incredible. It's like my favorite thing. It's my favorite kind of spaces to sing in because the acoustics are so amazing. But imagine if we were getting to do that and it was my art on the walls, and then it was maybe Thoth's little right-handed little doodles and stuff all over the walls too, because he has a bunch of black and white left-handed things that he's done. He's never going to do anything this big because he's very focused on, you know, keeping everything simple and being able to travel with his art supply stuff. I was up to a point, but now I'm doing this, and I don't know what it's going to lead to. Again, I'm not sure, and I don't know what I'm going to do with these pieces if I can't sell them. Um, if nothing happens with them, I'm not really sure what will be done with them, if I'm just going to have to leave them here or something. I think we're going to be in Bali for quite a long time, so, but again, even if we're here for the rest of my life, let's say, what will happen to them when I die? Will they just all be thrown away? I don't know. I can't really think about that, even though I tend to, because I'm just in this space of I need to create this stuff. I have the time, I have the finances to be able to do it, to invest in myself and do this. So I need to do it right now. I don't know what it's going to lead to, but I believe in it.